Hello, TOEFL students. In order to get the biggest benefit from this lecture, please listen to it along with the blog that I will link in the description. I will also include the questions that go along with this lecture in the description below. Now listen to a lecture in a history class. Have you ever heard someone call someone else a Benedict Arnold? Well, that was the name of a real person, whose name is now synonymous with treachery and betrayal. Born in Connecticut in 1741, Arnold was a general in the Revolutionary War, when America was fighting for its independence from Britain. In fact, Arnold was good friends with George Washington, who he met in 1775. As you all know, Washington was our first president, so that shows you how close Arnold was to the war effort, doesn't it? At the time, Washington had just taken command of the newly formed Continental Army in Boston. Arnold showed incredible leadership skills when he took over a key fort in 1775. So Washington decided to ask Arnold to lead a charge of soldiers into Canada to take Quebec City and bring that province into the rebellion. Arnold did so with enthusiasm, but suffered a serious wound on the last day in a failed attempt to capture that city. Benedict Arnold went on to fight successfully in 1776 in keeping the British from invading the colonies through the Lake Champlain region. And his greatest victory was in Saratoga in 1777, which led to the French coming into the war as America's first and most important allies. Washington thought of Arnold as a fighting general and supported him as much as he could up to the time of Benedict Arnold's defection to the British. So, why did Arnold decide to switch to the British side and betray his friends and fellow soldiers? His bitterness about being ignored, passed over for promotions, and relegated to military commander of a city instead of a group of soldiers had made him furious. And he had been fuming about it for years. He married his wife Peggy in 1779. Arnold purchased Mount Pleasant that same year, a large manor home. The couple did not live at Mount Pleasant, however, but rented it out for the income. Now the plot thickens. You see, Peggy was a British loyalist and had contacts within the British Army, and she offered to share them with her new husband. At first, he did not know whether to take her suggestion to defect seriously. After all, what she was suggesting was to betray both the cause he had been fighting for and his good friend Washington. But over time, she persuaded him to speak to her connections. Eventually, Arnold decided to change sides, and by 1780, he was officially fighting as a British soldier. In return, the British made him a brigadier general, a position with some power and influence, but he wasn't paid as much as he had expected. When the Revolutionary War was over, he moved to Canada to run a merchant business with his sons, Richard and Henry. He was extremely unpopular in Canada, so he moved to London permanently in 1791, where he died 10 years later. Now, his legacy is tarnished by his treachery. So if anyone calls you a Benedict Arnold, now you know it's not a compliment. Here is the audio portion of one of the questions. Why does the professor say this? Now the plot thickens.